Hey, Nicki Sanders here with Nicki Sanders Leadership Consulting, and welcome to the More Than Social Work with Nicki Sanders YouTube channel. I'm Nicki Sanders. You know me as an educator, a leadership strategist, a coach, and a consultant. We likely connected around social work. So if we are connected online, lately you have seen my posts that are more about soft success and soft leadership. And you may be wondering, has she left the world of social work? This video is here to confirm, no, I have not left social work. And do you know why I haven't left social work? Because I have no reason to leave social work. Social work is part of my leadership advantage, but also, I've said this in my social work philosophy, my social work skills are highly transferable, and I get to define social work career success on my own terms. So I am using my social work education, experience, training to social work differently. What I'm passionate about, what I've always talked about, is soft success, soft leadership, self-love, self-care, self-preservation. And I had it in the background, and now I'm bringing it to you to the forefront. Why? Because the need is so great. It was always great, but right now, this space that we're in collectively, this is absolutely the time to stop hiding in the background and bring those messages, those things that I'm passionate about to the forefront. So it's not a pivot from social work. It is a reclamation. It is me reclaiming my full identity. And that is why you're watching the More Than Social Work with Nicki Sanders YouTube channel. So I'm not taking a new direction. I am just coming into alignment with who I am authentically, and I'm inviting you to join me on this same journey. So let's take a look back down memory lane, right? So I have developed and managed multidisciplinary, multi-generational teams. I've taught in classrooms, I've coached in conference rooms, I've consulted and supported mission-driven organizations. I have trained the next generation of leaders, and I'm very proud of all of that work. And what was in those messages in all of those spaces a decade ago, 15 years ago, 5 months ago, 5 minutes ago, is this idea of career fulfillment, this idea of protecting your peace, this idea of showing up and being who you are authentically. It's been threaded throughout, but now I'm saying it's time. It is time for all of us to be exactly who we are, to come back to our authentic identity. So I've told you the story about compassion, fatigue, and professional burnout. And one of the things that we don't talk a lot about is how professional burnout causes you to lose your identity. You lose yourself in the overworking, in the performing, in the constant going and going and going, because you don't take the time or have the time or feel safe enough to be who you are authentically, to stop and ask the questions, what is this doing to me? To stop and ask the question, how am I feeling about how I'm performing? How am I feeling about this labor? Physical labor, emotional labor, right? How is it impacting me? How am I feeling about it? So for me personally, it looked like skipping lunch. It looked like interrupted sleep. It looked like weight gain. It looked like carrying all the things for all the people all the time and feeling like there was no release, at least a safe one for me, that I had to do it all and that I was alone. And so the more that I built, the more success that I had, the less that I felt like me on the inside, the less that Nicki was showing up authentically, the less I was living in my true identity. And burnout does that to you. It causes you to lose sight of yourself. So now I'm inviting us all to come back to ourselves, to come back home to ourselves. For me, that looks like lots of different things in lots of different ways. You've seen me outside in the woods, right? Walking around in nature. That absolutely is what I call a regenerative routine and has allowed me to pause, to slow down, to spend more time with myself, in my quiet, with my thoughts. But also, I came back to my foundation. My foundation is social work. It is how I see the world. It's how I was trained and educated. It is my lens. It's how I problem solve, right? But it's not my full identity. And for many of us, we have allowed our job titles to become our identity. And that's why our identities are fractured. That's why our identities feel so fragile, because we've built them on something that is not a solid foundation. So I can start with social work as part of my foundation, but it's not my full identity. And then when I talk about leadership, because listen, I am building leaders in the classroom, with my mentors, with my staff. I am building leaders. And so leadership for me has to look authentic, feel authentic. I have to operate in integrity when I am talking about building leaders and how I build leaders. And so if I think, let me say it this way. Leadership is definitely my superpower, right? Like leadership is my superpower. There are people who I hate being a leader. I hate being a manager. I love it. It allows me to set up a culture and a platform where I can help people transform, where I can help people become empowered. And I absolutely believe that leadership is a part of my purpose in life. But the kind of leadership that is empowering, that is soft, that does not require you to hustle and grind, no more hustle and grind, the kind of leadership that is not built on crises and urgency, and you at the top are passing that energy and that anxiety down to the people underneath of you, and they are scared, they're concerned, they don't know what's coming up next, they hate to see you coming in, they're having physical reactions to your presence when you come into the room. I personally may have told you, you may have heard in another video, I said I sat in the parking lot for 2 hours unable to get out of my car. I was the one who was scheduling meetings and I was showing up late to my own meetings because the burnout was just so prevalent, and it snuck up on me over time. It wasn't just a one-time thing and like, oh, I'm burned out. No, it snuck up on me over time. So I'm looking at social work as my foundation, my education. I'm looking at leadership as part of my purpose, and I believe that leadership is my superpower. But here's where social work and leadership are taking me, right to liberation. Listen, I am out there in the woods because I feel liberated. I am talking about soft success, quiet mornings, slow evenings, right? Because of the feeling of liberation, but also the liberation. It's just not liberation in my mind. It is a liberated lifestyle where I am leading from a space that feels whole, that feels complete, that feels energizing, that feels powerful and empowering. And I'm inviting you to do the same. I promise it is possible for you if you are ready to shift out of that old model of leadership that you've been taught or that's been forced upon you, right? Maybe you accepted it, but we can move past that. So I'm going to give you some keywords, right? So one of them I've talked about, identity, right? So remember identity, remember authenticity. We want to be whole, right? So I've talked about my social work philosophy. I've talked about my leadership philosophy, and this philosophy around wholeness, you will hear that more and more and more, because that is something that I feel is critical and essential. I can give you a leadership strategy, what to do with your team member who's not engaged. I can give you a leadership strategy around how to be more productive. I can give you a leadership strategy on how to bring people into your program, recruitment, community outreach. But that's not what we need right now. I mean, you probably need it in the background, but what you need right now in the forefront is leading from a place of wholeness that feels good to you. So it's possible for you. And it's also available to you, because great leadership, and I'm talking about great leaders and great leadership does not require you to shrink. Great leadership does not break you into pieces. Great leadership does not force you to be someone other than yourself. Great leadership allows you to lead from your assets, allows you to lead from your experience, allows you to lead from your wholeness, allows you to express your innovation and imagination, because it understands that that is what is powerful and productive, right? So we're going beyond just being efficient to actually powerful leadership. And you can't lead powerfully if you're pretending to be someone else. Like that's just it. You can't pretend to be someone else and lead in a powerful, authentic, liberating way. So you may have been told, right, that in order to lead, you have to be hard, tough, right? You don't want people to take advantage of you. You may have learned that if you are leading from a place of empathy or compassion, right, that people won't want to work, they won't do the work. In my experience, that's absolutely not true. It's absolutely the opposite of what I've seen happen in my decades-long leadership journey. So my strategic career management framework: clarity, credibility, capacity. Great leadership is more than just clarity and credibility. I want you to think about your capacity to hold space, your capacity to create, your capacity to heal, right? So if you're carrying too many things, you don't have the capacity to lead well. You don't have the capacity to be well, right? You are not well if you have surpassed what is the normal capacity for you. And I've said over and over and over again, you can't pour from an empty cup. If you have deleted yourself, depleted, right? If we're talking about identity, you have deleted yourself. But the word that I was thinking was depleted, but actually they both go together. So if you have deleted yourself or depleted yourself, you can't lead well. And that is what we want. I want a generation of leaders of every age who are leading from wholeness, not brokenness, not self-sacrifice, self-abandonment, self-betrayal, but wholeness. So clarity, credibility, capacity. You've heard me say those words over and over and over again. I'm going to give you some more words. You've been shrinking. You've been striving. You're trying and trying and trying and doing and doing and doing. That's what I mean when I talk about striving. I'm not talking about ambition. I'm talking about doing and doing and doing, right? Never getting to the place, just doing and doing and doing. And the last thing is surviving. You have been shrinking, you've been striving, and you've been surviving. And it's not sustainable. It's harmful. It's harmful to you, and it's harmful to your people. So here are the 3 words that I want you to remember. All right, you can repeat after me. We can do all the things, right? Softness, sovereignty, and sustainability. Remember that. Softness, sovereignty, and sustainability. because softness is not weak. It's strong. There's strength in being soft. Softness is not weak. Slowing down or slowness is not laziness. It's essential. You don't have to try to keep going and going and going. You're not a robot. And success should never require you to deplete or delete or abandon yourself. So the 3 words, what are they again, right? Softness, sovereignty, and sustainability, because that old style of leadership was not sustainable. This new level, style, model, framework, goal, whatever you want to call it, of leadership, where we are leading from our wholeness, is sustainable. And that is the change that we need. So here's the invitation to you again to join me on this journey. If there's anything that I've said today, from the struggle to the sovereignty, the feeling bound and broken to this feeling of liberation, if it resonates with you, I would love to talk to you. I would love to support you on this new leadership journey, because you can rewrite, right? So I meant to say you can rewrite your leadership journey or narrative, but you can also reroute your leadership journey and take a new path. You don't have to stay on the path that you are currently on, because it's not going to lead you to liberation. So this is Nicki Sanders with Nicki Sanders Leadership Consulting. Feel free to drop me a comment on this video or schedule a 20-minute consultation. You can hit me up on my website and let's chat about how I can help you on your new leadership journey. All right, see you soon. Bye.